An easy way to animate text is to use a text animation preset. You can apply them and use the default values, or you can change them. You can customize them. Let me show you how to do that. Let's just open up a new project. Make a new comp. I'm going to go with my HD comp here. Click that. And I want to put some text in there, so I'm going to click on the character panel to view that. I've got my Black Oak standard and various other things here, so that should serve our purposes. Click on the type tool and type in some text here. There we go. And click on the layer to accept that. Control key to move it around. Command key on Mac. There we go. There's our text. I want to apply a text animation preset to that layer. To do that, I select the layer, and then I need to go to Effects and Presets, this panel over here. If you don't see the panel, you can always find it by going Window, Effects, and Presets, and now it's up front here like that. I want to open up the panel menu. Now, all panels have panel menus, and the panel menus are always in the right-hand corner there. There's little parallel lines and the disclosure triangle. Now, you may think that's the character panel menu, but it's not. It's whatever's active here. Click on that. And down here, we've got Browse Presets. So click on that. That opens up Adobe Bridge, and it opens up Adobe Bridge to the After Effects presets. You can see After Effects, Support Files, Presets, and these are all the various kinds of presets. Most of them are video effect presets, but there's one group here that's specifically for text. Let's open that up here. Double-click that. These are all the various types of text animation presets, and I highly recommend that you check them out. There are so many great presets here. They can make your life really easy. So what I want to do is start with Animate In. This means that the text will come into the screen. You can preview any of these guys by just clicking on one, and then it'll play over here in the preview window. There you go, like that. So I'll preview that one. Try a different one here, like Decoder Fade In, they call it. I'm going to go with Fly In with the twist here. Now that I've decided I want to use this one, to apply it to a text layer, the text layer has to be active, and then all I need to do is just double-click it. And now it's applied. And you might not have seen much happen there, but that text animation preset has been added. I'm going to open up the text layer here, go down to text. We have this Animator 1 there. Animator 1 is that preset that was applied. It's applied with a set of keyframes and also a property that we're going to animate. So let me open this up so you can see the keyframes. You can see those two little round dots there. I'll cover it up by this current time indicator. 1, 2. That means that there are keyframes somewhere there in one of these little layers inside this property group. So open that up. And the keyframes are applied to the start property of the range selector only. That's it. We just animate keyframes for the start property, and that's enough to do all that. How cool is that? The thing is, though, when you do animations like this, you typically don't start with the text on the screen and end with it on the screen. We're bringing this thing in, right? So you need to adapt a lot of these presets to suit your purposes. So I'm going to scroll down here a bit to see what kind of properties were added to this preset. We've got position, skew axis, and rotation. Now it's rotating one full rotation, so you can kind of see it go one full rotation as it gets up there. There you go. That's the thing. So inside this range, then it's already been rotated once, and as we bring it out of the range, it's going to unrotate, essentially. Then there's position. The position here is slightly to the right of the original position and a little bit down the screen. We probably want to bring it farther down the screen, so I'm going to pull it down a bit like that. That would be typically what you do. You'd bring it actually off the screen more or less, but we'll put it right there in the edge just to show you that you can do that. Then there's the skew thing here. Now it's a little odd that just skew axis is here. Skew axis does nothing on its own. This just determines the axis on which the skew is applied. When you apply the skew property to an animation, it applies both the skew and the axis. Here, for some reason, it's just the axis. So it's kind of useless at this point, but we can overcome that by adding skew to this. So I'm going to go up here a little bit, and notice that the animator has an add button next to it. We're not talking about this animate next to text. We're talking about adding a property to this animator only. So I click this, open up property, and go out to skew. Click on that. And now skew has been added along with the skew axis. So I'll just move the skew axis a little bit. Nothing will happen. But now when I move the skew, you can see that we kind of are twisting it. It's not going to be so dramatic here because it's going to be mainly off screen, but you can see how to do that. Typically when people animate things like this on, they usually start with the opacity set to 0 as well. So let's add opacity. Click on Add, go to Property, and add opacity from this group of transform properties. Now it comes in 100%, but we're going to drop that to 0 or near 0 so you can at least sort of still see it there just so you can see how it works. So again, this is the stuff that's in the selected range, in this range up here, this range selector. So whatever's in the range is having these properties applied. And when it's put out of the range, it goes back to its original position and original qualities. That's what's happening here. It's going to rotate on, it's going to be skewed, and it's going to go back to full opacity. All right, that's how it works. Let's add another animator. I'm going to close this guy down. Let's get another preset by going back to Bridge. What I want to do now is to have something that kind of just plays in the middle, not really animate on or animate off, just something that plays in the middle. So I go back to Text. I want to have just something here. There's so many possibilities. I really recommend check these guys out. I want to go to Fill and Stroke because this has a lot of color to it. I like this sliding color flicker there. All right, so to apply that, I'm going to double click that. And that applies it to our text. You can see it turns it red, which may be a little bit of an issue that we need to overcome here. So I'm going to scroll down a bit. I also had 2 animators this time. Some of these presets have many animators plus some video effects, but we're going to stick with these 2 animators here. Let's see what's going on. Click away for a second. Click Animator 2. The only thing that's going on there is that it turned it red. We can change the color to anything we want. That's just the default color there for that little animator. For the fill, we're going to go down a little bit farther. And Animator 3 changes the hue. So it makes it red so that there's actually something to animate. Otherwise, if it was white, it wouldn't do much with hue. So it needs to have some kind of color or hue won't work. So what's happening here, the keyframes are probably going to be offset. Let's take a look. Yeah. What happens is that they've decided that 30% of the text should be animated at any one time or should have this hue property applied to it at any one time. And then we offset this 30% width here and just slide it across the text. That's what's going on there. So all we need to do now is keep it from being red throughout. So I'm going to close this down and show you how to do that. I don't want it to be red throughout. I want it to go back to the original color when we get there. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, okay, I want to have the red be from there to there. So I'm going to turn on keyframes here. I'll go over to the right here a bit, that far where the ending of the animation is. Click on this keyframe button over there to say, let's have the exact same keyframe there. Let's have a hold from here to there. I'll just right click on this one, have it be a hold. There you go. It doesn't have to be a hold, but it's kind of a good practice. Now I want to have it go back to the white fill that we had before here, and then go to red. So I need to change the color of the fill here, and that'll add a keyframe. So I'm going to use the eyedropper to do that. Click there. I can click white here anywhere, and that'll do the trick. Or I could turn off the eyeball for this guy, like so. So let me just go back and undo this little eyedropper and click this eyeball there. And I could get my white from the actual inside the fill, although I know it's white. But just to be precise about it, click the eyedropper and click them there. And now we've turned this thing white. So the keyframe will go white, white, white like that, and then it'll suddenly shift to red. But first of all, I need to switch on visibility for hue by clicking its eyeball, and then we can really see how this is going to work. Turns red there, and there we go. Now we'll go after the fact here. I'm going to copy this keyframe, Control-Command-C, and then I'm going to paste it here, Control-Command-V. There we go. Let's see how that works now. There we are, and then I'll go back to white to finish it off. So that's how you can adapt that guy. So what I want to do now is add an animate out. And to make sure I don't replace an existing animator, I'm going to close these guys down, because sometimes when you add another preset, it actually replaces an existing one. So I'm going to close them down. Just make sure this layer is selected. That should be sufficient. And go back to Bridge. And what I want to do now is go to Animate Out. So click on Text and open up Animate Out. There are all kinds of possibilities here. I'm going to do Random Fly Off. I want it to fly off to the right. This one goes to the left. This one goes to the right. So I'm going to double click on this, and that'll apply it. It'll apply it where that current time indicator is located. Let's open it up and see how that went. It should be an animator 4 down there now. And there it is. We can see the 2 keyframes there. There's circles here because we don't see the actual keyframes, but I'll open that up. You can see what's going on. The range selector again, what we're selecting here is just the start. But we're starting at 100%. That means that the start is over here, so nothing's inside the range yet. But we're going to take the start and slide it to the left, and then put stuff in the range. So those things that are in the range then will then have the new property applied to them. And the property here is just position. It's just moving them off to the right. You can see them move over there as they go off to the right. They don't quite get off screen all the way. Again, this is one of those things where you want to adapt it to make sure it suits your purposes. So I'll take the position and slide it farther to the right so it really does go off screen when it's done. You might notice how they're kind of coming off in a random order instead of, let's say, going from T to A or A to T. They should go T to A because this guy's sliding across like that. They're not doing that because of a little feature down here in the advanced property group called randomize order, and it's on. If I turn that off, now you'll see that it actually goes from the end, and as you'd expect, like that. To turn that back on, that randomizes the order off. There we go. So let's see the whole project here and see how that turned out. Comes on from the bottom of the screen with the addition of opacity there. We got the hue coming on to red for a moment, going back to the original white, and then animating off. So there you have it. You can add multiple animation presets to a single string of text and customize those presets to work to suit your purposes.